Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club. As you can probably see and hear, it's another drizzly day here at Sydney town. It's Tuesday morning. It's wet, and I guess an expression of El Nino or El Niña. I keep on forgetting which one it could possibly be. Anyway, what I'd like to do this morning is go through another book summary. And today's book summary is entitled High Impact Tools for Teams. High Impact Tools for Teams. And the author is Alexander Osterwalder. I've done a couple of his books lately, so he's quite interesting, and we'll see where this book summary takes us. So the author kicks off his book with an interesting quote where he says that dream jobs are more often created than found. That's a really profound statement. The realization that your dream job is not something that's going to be waiting out there for you, but it's a job that you are going to create through I guess, interaction with your team, your customers, and it's something that's going to evolve over time. It's not going to be there for the taking, but it's going to be there for the creating. So a dream job, to be clear, is rarely attainable through conventional searches. Creating one requires strong self-knowledge. And this book is all about providing the tools and providing avenues to help one find their dream job. And it's about identifying and leveraging high quality, high utility practices to spark motivation and engagement amongst team members and within an organisation. So once again, this book is mainly focused on helping one generate the best possible outcome within their working environment and to get the best out of themselves and the best out of the team around them. I remember years ago speaking to somebody about a particular job that they had and the challenges that they faced. And they said to themselves that they need everybody around them to be more organised. And the realisation is that in order for the people around you to be more organised, you in fact need to be more organised yourself in the first place. So it's not about what everybody else is doing, but we all can contribute and help a situation and be partners in each other's growth and development. So the first formal point to come out of this book is where the author reminds us of the pain that we all face and the challenges we all face on a daily basis, where he says that most meetings are unproductive, but learning what makes them this way can help you prevent them from being unproductive and from the challenges resurfacing and recirculating within a business environment. It's no secret that most people hate meetings. I spent many years in corporate Australia, floating from one meeting to another, And there are some people who spend their whole lives in meetings, chatting away, talking away, trying to solve the world's problems, and leaving the meeting only to go to another meeting and forget what was discussed and what was committed to at the previous meeting. So, as we said, most people hate meetings, and Atlassian actually were able to quantify through surveys and through engagement with their employees to what level this is happening. And they come up with a statistic which suggests that 50% of times spent at meetings is wasted. So the call to action from this book, from this author, is to ditch team meetings and to make more use of project management tools instead, and be able to leverage the skills and the resources from a technological perspective. And it's up to the managers, it's up to the leaders, the team leaders, to find the best ways to communicate, interact, and engage with their team members. The biggest issue that people have in a team environment is that organisations and teams tend to become very hierarchical over time, and people, individual team members, are often worried about speaking up and contributing within a team because they sometimes, if not all times, feel stupid or made to feel stupid. As I said, having worked in a number of organisations over the years, you do get a sense that there are favourites within a team environment, and there are people who tend to hog the limelight and do all the talking and all the persuading within a team, but their ideas, their direction, their knowledge isn't always for the best of the organisation or of the rest of the team. It's all about themselves most of the times. And it's up to the manager in the team to find balance, because each organisation attracts, hires the best possible people that they can have, and they bring them into an organisation and into a team environment where their creativity is squashed by the team politics, by what's happening within that team environment. And the other issue that comes from this book here is that the roles and responsibilities within a team environment are often unclear and ambiguous, and most people are not sure what others are doing or what in fact themselves are supposed to do. And this is the key message which comes from this book. I was very fortunate to have worked for some very, very good organisations over the years. I worked for IBM, I worked for Telstra, I worked for Optus, I worked in a recruitment company called Hudson. And along the way I came across some really, really good, really, really powerful individuals who were leaders in their time, leaders in their field, and I was able to learn some of the skills and some of the techniques that they used. One example that I can talk about is when I worked at Telstra. There was a fellow there named Stefan Wozniak who was really, really good at getting people together and bringing out the best of the team. I remember going to a team meeting once, and the first thing he did was he said, "This is the objective of today's meeting. This is what we've come together to discuss." And he went round the table and he says, "I want everybody to introduce themselves and to tell the rest of the team what value, what skills they bring to the table." And I found that so profound and so powerful that, as I say, I've never forgotten it, and it's something that I always try and do when I bring together a team to discuss and to do and to complete a particular project. So it just showed respect. It just showed the importance of team, and it showed the importance of each member of the team, because each person brings different skills to a team environment, and it's important to be able to articulate, to clearly articulate and respectfully articulate those skills up front so that everybody knows what other people are bringing to the table and how they can be engaged and interacted with. Another person that I worked with, named Frank Cougans. I worked with Frank at both IBM and at Vantra. And Frank Cougans was the Chief Financial Officer. And whenever he'd bring his team together for team bonding sessions or any particular meeting, the first thing he would do is he would get the whiteboard with a marker, and he'd get one of the team members or various people in the team to get up and go and write on the board what the team rules should be, or what each member would think would be appropriate for team rules to run those particular meetings. And the sort of rules that would be put up on the board on a regular basis are that we should respect each other, we should allow each other to complete what they are saying without being interrupted. And Frank would also tell us that he wanted each team member to eventually be a clone of him and to make decisions on behalf of the organisation and to ask themselves, what would Frank say? What would Frank do? And this in itself was an empowering contribution where, as I said before, you'd sit and think of a situation and Frank would say, "I will back you 100%. I want you to be hard-nosed and I want you to be making decisions on behalf of this organisation based on what I would be doing. So you have my 100% backing. You have delegated authority to make decisions and to let me know what is going on, because each and every one of you are the eyes and the ears of the finance team, and together we can solve all the problems and we can lead this organisation to financial prosperity." So getting back to the book now, the author talks about a concept known as a team alignment map, which allows a clear structure of a team to be set out and to be communicated, and to allow each team member to visualise and to understand how they contribute, what the problem is, and what the agreed solution is. So a team alignment map is very, very simple. It's basically a 4-column chart with a header, where the header includes the mission and the period. So what we're talking about here is the agenda and the time frame. in terms of how much time we have to get the job done. So it's all about making it very, very clear up front what the agenda is, what we're trying to achieve, and how long we have to get the job done. So the first column in the team alignment map are the joint objectives, basically articulating in unambiguous terms what needs to get done and to enhance the togetherness that we do it together. And it's in a form of SMART goals, which are detailed and timelines attached to each of those goals. The second column in the team alignment map are the joint commitments, where you're able to detail the names and tasks of what needs to be done and by who. The third column is called the joint resources column, and it details the resources that are needed in order to get the job done. You know, it's important to understand that a job needs to get done, but a job also needs resources. It needs resources which sit outside the team. It needs commitments and agreements made outside the team. So we have the resources within the team that we can leverage and work, but we also need external resources to be able to tap into and use. And the last column on this team alignment map are the joint risks that we need to identify and to abate. We need to identify all the potential risks that could impact the project, and then figure out what are the chances of those risks occurring, and also to try and abate those risks, to try and find solutions to those risks before they actually occur. So to be clear, so that the whole team is clear that if A occurs, then we need to do B, C and D. And if other things occur, there are solutions that have already been agreed and mapped out, so we don't waste time trying to figure out what needs to be done to solve the problems. So the final point to come out of this book is where the author talks about the importance of having a pre-prepared agenda for each and every meeting. You just don't rock up to a meeting to discuss things without knowing how much time you're going to spend discussing each element and what is going to be discussed and what the outcome is. I remember when I worked in a law firm, we were all told that when you write an email or when you engage somebody else in written communication, you've got to say at the very, very beginning what outcome you're trying to achieve. So at the beginning of the email, in the subject matter, you've got to say, what outcome is being sought, so that people know from the outset when they open that email, when they start reading that email, what they're being asked to do, rather than to have to read the whole email not knowing what is asked or what is needed from them. So having a pre-prepared agenda for each meeting is important, because what it does is it reduces uncertainty. The greatest stress that people feel, the anxiety that people feel in their work lives, is not knowing, not being able to know, and not having certainty in their daily activities or their future activities. So it's important to try and create, as a manager, as a co-worker, as a team member, as much certainty as possible, to help those around you to feel comfortable and to know what is needed from them. How many times we've had meetings with people, or we've made requests of people and haven't asked them what is needed and by when it's needed. It's important to be able to say to somebody, I need it by the end of the day, or I need it within an hour, or I need it next month, to provide certainty in terms of your request so that they can manage their workload and what they're doing. So the author here says within a meeting environment, you need to have time intervals. So you probably need to spend 10 minutes in terms of an introduction, introducing the topic, the problem, the challenges. Spend 30 minutes working out what needs to be done and discussing the key elements. And then at the end, leaving about 20 minutes for a summary, or for questions, or for clarifications. I remember working at Advantra, a large outsourcing organisation, and my boss back then was a fellow named Benson Liu. And Benson's strength was at the end of every meeting, he would always summarise what had happened. Even if somebody else was running the meeting, even if the CEO was running the meeting, he would end the meeting by saying, please allow me to summarise what was discussed this morning or today, to make sure that I clearly understand what the issues are and what needs to be done. And that was so powerful. And the author here also mentions it's important to engage all members of a team, and you definitely need to go around the room and get each team member to speak for a couple of minutes and to echo their thoughts, and not to allow one or two people to hog the whole time, because by engaging each and every member of the team is where you get full engagement, and everybody feels as if they're contributing and that they're part of the solution, and that way you can get their commitment as well from what the author says. So the author here also mentions that as a leader you can also leave the room at some point and allow the team members to discuss the outcomes themselves without feeling the pressure of having the boss there listening in and judging their every contribution and move and move, so to speak. An interesting concept, but I guess that's about it. So thank you very much for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5 a.m. Club, where we hear the raindrops raining on Circular Quay and on Sydney Harbour. It's a grey old day. There's a bit of wind coming from the southwest, from what I can see, based on the position of those flags. So I look forward to coming to you again from a different location with a different message of empowerment. Thank you very much for joining me, and for joining me at every opportunity, because through Jim's 5 a.m. Club we do get to tap into some interesting books and to learn from other people's experiences, OPE. It never ceases to amaze me how much knowledge is out there, and wisdom that we can tap into and that we can incorporate and bring into our skill sets. These life hacks that are available in books and books summaries are really powerful, but they're only as powerful as what we apply. So knowledge is power, but it's only potential power. It's applied knowledge which actually delivers power to each and every one of us. So I hope you can take some of the lessons from this book entitled High Impact Tools for Teams and use them in your work environment, in your meetings, so that you can leverage and get the most out of your days, out of your meetings, so that you can be as productive as possible and to have an enhanced contribution to your career and to your work environment. Take care, Yassas, and a happy Tuesday to each and every one of us. Bye for now.